Welcome back to your Center of Social, Political and Economic Analysis. For many people, the UN is seen or is known as a brand or a combination of everything that's good for humanity. And in this case, many people see the UN as a neutral body, an impartial body, not only in South Sudan, but elsewhere across the world. And this indeed are the principles, is one of the principles of the UN, that it is an impartial body that is neutral in serving humanity and in ensuring that wherever there are atrocities and wherever there are human suffering, the UN will be there to try and prevent it, or to at least try and lower this human dignity, to restore the dignity of these people that are suffering. This is true in South Sudan and has been true for many years in other parts of the world. But I want to bring to our attention something that is just happening now or recently with the recent conflict in South Sudan. Something that I wish to bring to the attention of New York and Geneva and all the other people who are decision makers in the UN system. In March, or in early March 2025, a conflict began in South Sudan, which has now led to the arrest of so many political leaders, including the past Vice President of South Sudan, Dr. Riek Machar, who signed the peace agreement that brought some sort of tranquility in 2018. This move or political arrest, this arrest of Dr. Riek Machar, which was seen by those who arrested him as him supporting the youth of Nasir before, is turning out to have been something that was politically motivated. And that instead of the government who arrested him, of which he is a part of, following up on this political witch hunt, they have ended up profiling an ethnic community, the Nuer. So it has led to the displacement of so many innocent Nuer people, not only in Nasir, but in other counties across South Sudan, bombarding them, chasing them away, some even where they have sought refuge in the sad swamps, in the swamps. And these are women and children. A case in point is yesterday when bombardment happened in a place called Joak in Pangak, where children and women were bombed, their location being seen in the reeds of the River Nile, just hiding because they've been chased away from their homes by bombardments. These are not the White Army. So there is a political angle that the war in South Sudan is taking, or the conflict that the government is generating is taking, which is so worrying to many other neutral bodies. So in all this, the expectation for the United Nations mission in South Sudan, UNMISS, which is the UN body, monitoring the peace and ensuring that the government is held to account, is expected to be siding with the affected communities, the women, children, and the elderly that are chased away either across countries like Ethiopia or Sudan, or those who have sought refuge in areas like swampy areas, helping them to provide them with non-food items and food items, medicine, and those kind of things that the UN is able to, and including security, that the UN is able to provide them temporarily as the issue of their bombardment is being sorted out through pressure by the international community to the government of Salva Kiir Mayardit. But instead of doing this, it is baffling that the UN helicopter is sparing government officials, people in military uniform, with their guns fully armed, to areas where communities and societies, ethnic groups have been chased away from their land by an ethnic army. This is something so unfortunate that you wonder where as the principle of neutrality, impartiality, and also of protecting civilians have gone to of the UN. And this is not the entire UN body. This is UNMISS in South Sudan. As this begs the question, as the UNMISS being compromised by the government of South Sudan, have they been told that if you do not follow the government directives of your helicopters being used to ferry army people? And a case in point is the governor of Upper Nile. Yesterday we went to Nasir, a town where the community has been wiped out, have been chased away, killed, maimed, just to neighboring counties or even to neighboring countries. People have deserted the town, their livelihood, their lives. So instead of the UN talking to the governor to tell him that we will not support you if you continue to kill civilians, and that we are going to ensure that your case is taken to the International Court of Justice, they are here supporting the same government that is annihilating its people. Have you ever heard of this anywhere in the world? This is so uncalled for and so unnecessary that it has made the UN, that many South Sudanese, including the Nuer who are being wiped out now in South Sudan, have seen them as a neutral body, like a mother, so to say, where when there are challenges like this, the UN will be there to help and support those who are vulnerable. Now it is on the side of the people who are the victors and the perpetrators. Whereas the justice system, the foundation in which the UN was founded in 1945, as amended in 1967 by the African Union, or the so-called OAU then. So these are questions that need to be asked and need thorough analysis by both academics and leaders who are involved in peacemaking and peacekeeping, because that is the mission of the UNMISS in South Sudan right now. How do people feel that a UN helicopter is carrying a so-called enemy side to your territory? What would have happened is, if, because now it was known to be carrying an enemy soldiers, if the UN helicopter was shot down by the youth in Nasir or other places where they go with the UN helicopter, what would have been the cost for this, for the lives of the pilots who are innocently maybe being forced to go and take a government officials armed, fully armed with guns, to a war-torn area? Remember, they made the same mistake in early March when they went with UN staff with a helicopter, and indeed 2 UN staff were wounded. One got killed if I'm not wrong. And UNMISS was there to condemn the community that this what was done is a terrorist, could amount to crime against humanity and all these kind of things. While right now it is doing the same mistake. What if that helicopter was brought down yesterday? Is this an opportunity, or is this a way of trying to create or to make sure or to ensure that the Nuer community are seen as a criminal community or a society that is that like violence? And now the UN want to do this so that when the helicopter is brought down and the UN staff are killed, they will see this community and try to put them aside and try to label them as a criminal society or society like crime, and that these are terrorists that need to be wiped out. Is this what the UN want to achieve? The person in charge, upon our investigation of the UN in Upper Nile, is a man from Uganda. How can we be sure that is not far from these dirty plans? Because the UN does not do this. Because it's the same Uganda through Yoweri Kaguta Museveni that brought in their army to come and kill an ethnic group within South Sudan. Are people that should be protected by the government of South Sudan. Now the government of South Sudan is wiping them out. Out of historical fears, Uganda is involving itself in carrying out a genocide against our people. It is very important and essential that the UN distance itself from this lunatic system that has pledged to ensure that they have wiped out an entire community. This is my message to you in Geneva. Take your phone and call the UNMISS in South Sudan. Tell them to ensure that their mandate is to protect the communities. And in fact, if this government continues to ensure that they wipe out communities and they continue killing them, that the UN can have a mandate of protecting humanity, South Sudanese. No South Sudanese should be killed, whether they are the Nuer people who are being killed now or any other society in South Sudan. Not even the Dinka who are in the government. Not the Chuluk, not the Pujulu, not any of the 64 nationalities that are making up South Sudan. So in this regard, it may seem that the people who are talking about these things are those who are affected now, and rightly so, those who are affected will speak about this, but it is very wrong, right, that this will be done in broad daylight. The photos and videos are there, circulating on social media. This cannot be taken as business as usual. The UN should know that this cannot be done at this particular time, but we are watching. We know the UN as a credible body, as a body that is there to safeguard human life and humanity. This is the very foundation of the 1951 Convention of the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, where refugees should be protected. People who are displaced internally or externally, the IDPs or the refugees who have crossed over to other nations or their host countries, the UN should be there to protect, if it has the ability, of course, to do so. Because we know the UN is also straight from the mega resources that it has now, minor resources that it has now. To protect that, to ensure that there are no further displacement and no further death, the UN should ensure that it is taking side with the communities, those who are suffering, ensuring that their rights are preserved and that their dignity is restored in a state of working side by side with the perpetrators, the government that is killing the people. Whatever the government is telling you, please do not take it. It is wrong. Get it from me, getting from people who are credible. If you get your information from the government, especially from the government spokesman, Michael Makwelwe, and then you are going to get it completely wrong. This is what I can say on this. It is so disheartening. It is very unfair. It is unprofessional for the UN helicopters to be seen carrying government troops with their guns and everything else. That is not what the UN is made of. Thank you very much for changing this.